Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. And it's another beautiful day for the Pirate Broadcast. And, you know, it's amazing when we can bring interesting people doing interesting things. And a lot of people ask me, what's the point of the show? And it's like, well, you know, if you pay attention, you'll pick up some hints, you'll pick up some strategies. You might even pick up a few ideas for your business or your life or anything like that. And if you like the show and you're in the comments, drop us a note so we know what's going on, where you're coming from, any questions that you might have. And today we have Kelly in the room. And Kelly, how are you today?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful Tuesday here. And I told Russ before we went live, I've got landscapers outside, so I'm sorry if you hear that.
Well, you know, we all got to get our landscaping done. So
yes.
It's like it's not the landscapers, it's the garbage truck or the recycle truck or the
they might come
delivery van or somebody backing up. You know, it's like, you know, we're blaming on the pandemic.
Okay? So they might come too. We don't know.
So for those that don't know you, and if you don't know Kelly, connect with her. You know, she's on LinkedIn. She's out there in the world. And so share a little bit about who you are and what you're doing here, Kelly.
So I am a newly entrepreneur, I'll say. Within the last year or so, I built my business called PannaKnows, P-A-N-N-A. Panna is it's a Sanskrit, Pali is a Sanskrit language, and in Pali, Panna means wisdom. And so for me, wisdom means learning through experience. And so it's a recruiting company. So I help my partners attract and retain talent. So clients and partners will call me and say, I need to find, these specific needs. And then my team and I will go kind of hunt them down and find the best possible fit for them.
That's fantastic. You know, in this time right now, I would imagine you're very active in terms of a lot of people, a lot of knowledge workers that are, not actively looking, different types and styles of people. Do you have a vertical that you're working in specifically, or a talent pool that you look at?
No, so I work really in anything across the board, from, I'll say, entry level up to director level and executive level if it's a small enough company. But like I happen to do a lot of work in technical types of companies, especially SaaS, software as a service types of companies. Okay. And my background is a lot of healthcare. So I've, nurses, therapists, I've done a lot of that. But my business and my team is built around all different, a variety of backgrounds, and that's intentional. So I want to, I am an expert in recruiting, and that's what my philosophy is. A recruiter, you don't have to walk the walk. You have to be able to talk the talk, right? So if you are smart enough, you can really dive in and understand what a client needs. Yeah. And for me, I'm building searches customized every time because I'm retained by a client to find specific needs for them. The opposite kind of recruiter builds a talent pool and kind of tries to sell them, for lack of a better term, sell them to clients that need. And I do the opposite. So, my philosophy is that, recruiting is recruiting. If you're smart enough, you can pick it up and build strategy.
Well, and there's a lot of people in LinkedIn, there's a lot of recruiters, and I know that it's a huge service opportunity that a lot of people need and require. And it's interesting. I get people reach out to me for different reasons because my work background is fairly diverse, and recruiters will reach out to me, and much like yourself, I'm sure that you're looking for a very specific skill set or a unique client that needs a position filled. And it sounds like you go out and search for that ideal candidate rather than building an inventory of people that do things.
That's right. And so one thing that I do that I have clients that rely on me for is starting to build an inventory specific to their ongoing needs. So they might say, we always look for these, 3 to 5 types of positions. And so I will go out, and especially right now where people aren't necessarily hiring, they are still recruiting, which is smart, right? Because there's inventory right now available. There's a lot of people looking for work. So I will go out, my team and I will go out and pipeline and kind of build that for them so that when they are ready, they're ready to go. There's a difference between hiring and recruiting. When I talk to people and they say, well, we're not hiring right now, I'll say, well, it's okay. You should be recruiting.
Yeah.
Right?
Avoid that hiring process, just recruit.
You need to build your pipeline so that when you're ready to go, you've got people.
Yeah.
And it's different now. People may look at hiring differently. So they might be bringing on freelancers or, maybe independent contractors as opposed to full-time employees. So there's opportunity for rebranding kind of on the candidate side, but also from an employer's perspective as far as what they're going to be hiring and what their needs are going to be.
Look who's in the room.
Oh, hi, Nick Dorsey. We were talking about you. We talked about you before we went live.
Yeah, we were just talking about you, Nick. So welcome to the Pirate Broadcast.
Oh.
So, and then Gabriel, you probably know Gabriel.
Yes. Yep.
How are you doing, Gabriel? I love learning these types of things. And then Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
Yeah. And Jill Sullivan is here.
Whoa, Jill. Hi, Jill.
Yeah. How's it going?
Oh, that's awesome. Con
is here. Con's a great one to know.
He's awesome. Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it to the attention of everybody here that, there are different times we go through our lives, different periods in our lives. And for myself, I'm always been a relationship individual that has received employment. Like all of my income right now, all my revenue, I was thinking about this the other day, is directly related to a relationship I've built over time. And so your position is probably a lot the same way. You know of people, you've talked to people, you've had conversations, you've met them online, you kind of get a sense of who they are. And then maybe a company comes over and says, hey, I think that I would like to hire somebody to do X. And you say, I know the person that needs to be introduced to you. And it's kind of a sense. So how did you evolve into this position? Have you always been in recruiting, Kelly? Have you always been kind of a fascination with this, or is this a skill set that was acquired over time?
Yeah, I think I was kind of pushed into it. So listen, people go to school for human resources. Recruiting is a part of human resources, and it's a big part, but you have to remember HR is like a huge umbrella of things, right? Yeah. So people go to school for HR, people don't go to school for recruiting. It just doesn't happen. Interesting story. I was in college 3 years. In my third year, I was just finishing up, and I decided that I didn't want to go to school anymore. And so not such a popular decision with my parents. My mother was a teacher for like 30 years, and my father worked for Wyeth, which is now Pfizer, a major pharmaceutical company, for 40 years.
Oh, wow.
So, entrepreneurship.
Stable employment.
Yes. And both, right. So, pensions, both of them pensions, that kind of thing. So different world now. So I decided to do that. And that wasn't a popular decision. But my father, who is amazing, he's my late father, but he is my person in life. He said, listen, kiddo, you have two choices. You're able to live in my house for 2 months, but in 2 months, you either get a job or you go join the army or something. So I got a job. what I did was I said, Dad, I don't know what to do. And he said, what, Wyatt, we use this company called Kelly Girls, which is now called Kelly Services. So if anyone knows Kelly Services, this is 22 years ago. It was called Kelly Girls, which is, terrifying. But he said, why don't you go to them? It's a temp agency and they'll interview you and maybe they have some jobs for you. And I went and I interviewed within a week because I was like hot to work. I wanted to work. I'm just not a student, but I don't mind working 100 hours a week. I couldn't go to school for 12. So isn't that interesting? It's just not how I work, Yeah. So I went and they said, you should be a recruiter and we have a job for you. And we're going to place you in this 3-month job as like an assistant recruiter. And I went and I was an assistant recruiter for this company for 3 months. And then they moved me into a recruiting job and I was there for 6 years. And so I did technical recruiting, which is one of the hardest to learn, and clinical. So I fell into it. Oh, and here I am 22 years later. Now I own a recruiting company. So I always say, like, people don't go to, any recruiter will tell you that they don't go to school to do that. Something you, like you said, it's a skill set you acquire. But it's something you have to really work at because there are a lot of recruiters and you have to differentiate yourself and you have to be really focused on making good matches and not, the dollar at the end of the day. Because if you're only focused on the dollar, you're not going to make good matches and your business is going to fall apart. So it's
and that's a great point. And I want to dive into that a little bit more because, having, let's say, discovered recruiting, you discovered it through a chain of events that took place, and it's been very valuable for you. It sounds like it's something, sometimes you have to learn to love what you do versus find out what you love to do, right? And it's kind of like you were recruiting for yourself. It's like, okay, I'm going to go out there's wide open spaces here, and I could probably find a number of jobs that I could, positions I could fulfill. However, it was very fortunate that you discovered this position in recruiting that actually allows and creates value and adds value to the world in so many other dimensions. Yeah. And it's so are you enjoying it? I mean,
I love it. I love it. Yeah. It's so, and also, this whole COVID has slowed things down because people are, I don't want to hire. So we still have some clients that are hiring, and we have some that are just building pipeline and recruiting because, I've told them about the importance of doing that. So that when they're ready to go. But because of that, it's given me an opportunity to do some other really cool things too that are things that they've come out of recruiting, right? Like I've learned, like I have a podcast now and I have a virtual advisory board. These are things that I've learned from some of the skill sets that I build within recruiting and networking and talking to people and building my relationships. So it's a really exciting time for me. There's a lot of passion. I'm a very passionate person. That could be good and bad, right? But I try to focus on the good part of it. Yes. So it's been a fun time for me because it's the recruiting skill set has really brought a lot of value to my life in other avenues. Yeah.
Well, and I think right now there's a lot of discovery taking place. A lot of people are reflecting on, is this really what I want to do? Maybe I want to find somebody else to work. Maybe I want to find something else to do. And, it's one of those things that you have to kind of evolve. And then almost through unplanned circumstances, like being laid off because of a pandemic, it gives you the opportunity. It's unfortunate circumstance. However, it does open up doors to new opportunities. Yeah. And I think it's really important for people to understand that there is a gift in the challenge. So,
yeah. It will be interesting to watch everything unfold when companies start hiring again to see what they're going to hire for. But you're right, it gives people this kind of time frame has given people an opportunity to really take a look at themselves and think, what makes me happy? What kind of work makes me happy? Where do I feel valued? So some people have not lost their job, but being in a virtual environment has brought to light, how maybe they're not happy, right? Because some people their managers haven't even checked in on them.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're 3 months at home and you haven't really heard from your manager or heard from the leadership team, that makes you second guess what you're doing. So it gives you have to look on the flip side. The positive is it gives you an opportunity to think, is there something else that I want to do? Is there a way that I want to rebrand myself now? Because there's so many potential options, for people, employers and candidates.
Do you have a sense? Do you have any kind of sense, Kelly? I don't know if, about the percentage of people that are comfortable with their remote work now that they've done it for 3 months versus the people that can't wait to get back into the office?
I hear, this is just anecdotal about what the people that I'm talking to. And this is anyone, not just, candidates. It's in general, the world that I'm talking to every day, which is 5 to 10 people every day. I'm going to say about 10% of them has said, I just can't wait to get in the office. And the rest say, I love this, other than the kids being at home.
Sure.
Something I could get used to because I'm more productive and I have more, I'm able to get here earlier. I do hear a lot of this. You probably heard this Zoom fatigue people have, because Zoom, for whatever reason, you would think in person would be more, but I think because there's so much Zoom now all day, even replacing some phone calls that would have been before, people are getting tired. So I do hear that. But I think if we continue to go in this format, we'll return to less Zooms and phone calls and just a better mix. But I think right now it was like, how do we engage everyone? Let's try to do Zooms as much as possible.
It's almost like overcompensating for the fact that you're not in an office.
That's
Even
right.
though the phone calls may not take place, you're still in the situation where you're having to stay in communication, reach out, and feel like you're part of the team, you're part of the equation. So I'm curious in the audience, how many are remote workers and have been remote workers or are newly remote workers? I'd be kind of curious into that. So anyway, I do have,
Hi, Damon.
hey, relationships are key. Good morning, John. And Jimmy Clem. Hey, Jimmy's here.
Hi, Jimmy.
The house from Colorado. Hi, Cave and Jill. So we got a lot of people in here. Oh, yes, Wendy, there is a gift in the challenge.
Yep, that's true.
And then also Damon said that been a time to really figure out how to follow your passion and create more value. And I have to say, Kelly, I think that as a recruiter and somebody that is really searching for the ideal person, not the one that'll make you the most money, I think there's a unique blend of, personalities that have to be in play. You have to look at the environment, the culture of the individual company. You have to look at the culture that the individual has arrived from or been exposed to. And then it's almost like, finding the right date, right?
Yeah.
It's like that conversation has to take place. And it's just amazing to me that that's a skill set, like you said, that has to be earned and learned over time. It's not just something that you can take a test and get qualified for and the steps that are necessary to do the job. So
it's not a one
discovery every day.
It's not a one size fits all. So it's not that I can say my philosophy is skill set over, character or something like that, or character over skill set, because every company is different. And it has to be a good match for whatever the need is. And so it is starting over every time. So you have to be a really good listener, right? That's really, really important for me to understand what a client needs, but then also see past what they're saying, because sometimes they don't really know what they need. Sometimes it's a position and they're learning themselves. And So it's about listening and paying attention and being agile. You have to be agile. So you have to, as a recruiter, you need to be able to flex and bend a little bit. It's not a black and white situation. It's not like it is this or it is that. Sometimes there needs to be some movement in between, a little gray, a little color, something. And you have to know how to bring that information to a client and a hiring manager, because often they don't know how to hire. It's not something they're really
first job description.
No, and they don't want it to be, right? Which is why they have different expertise. So one of a concern that I've had, Russ, is that because there's so many people available, companies will start to say, let's just do this on our own. So let's just post these jobs and see, instead of partnering with a company like mine or other companies, they might try to do it on their own. And then guess what happens? Their main job becomes recruiting.
Yeah. And then they take their eye off the ball and then all of a sudden they're making mistakes on the recruiting process.
That's right. That's why I say it's not rocket science, but I am in business for a reason. No one wants to.
There is an art involved, as far as I can tell.
That's right. PannaKnows. That's right.
So I just want to remind people that, Con says, in times of upheaval and crisis, relationships can carry us through the other side. Human connections are even more important in the days of social distancing. Yeah. Virtual hugs at 6 feet away, right?
Yeah. I always say that it's really important to do the right thing for the client. And I always tell, when I'm doing a sales call or, I get a new position from a current client, I'll say, listen, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, and I'm going to interact with you a lot. And so it might seem like a lot of time up front, but my only intention here, there's two things. The only intention is to either get more business from you or get a referral. So if I don't do the right thing by you, that's not going to happen. So that's why I say some recruiters, they teach you to focus on the dollar. Like when I first started, it was like, focus on the dollar. What's closest to the dollar? And that is not helpful. So I think if you focus on what's right for the client, for your partner, and for the candidate or potential employee, the money comes if you're doing the right thing.
So focus on the value.
Right.
Yeah, I love that.
The other stuff comes,
Everything will come. If you put it out there, it will return. Damon says he's been living remote life for 2 years now. It takes a balance of both to be happy. So I've been a remote worker for over 10. So it's like, okay. And all of a sudden, Nick, PannaKnows rocks.
I know. Hold on. I got to get a picture. Leave it up.
Take a picture.
Yes, I did. Thanks, Nick.
Awesome. Yeah, Zoom fatigue is real.
I think something else that's interesting is what Damon was just kind of saying, like, you have to find your balance when you're at home. And I think we're going to have a lot more of this at home, which I hope, I really hope so as a recruiter, because I can find the best talent, not the best talent available in Chicago by the client, so we can really look for the best talent, but finding a balance is important. So I get to my desk every day by 7:15 at the latest, sometimes earlier. And I make sure that I'm done in the afternoon, usually later afternoon, but I'll make sure that I'm done, and I go exercise and I spend time with my child, and then I might come back. But those things, you have to make boundaries for yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you really can get burned out. I mean, you've been doing it for 10 years, right? So you know that.
It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So you have to make sure that you take time out, you break it up. And that's the beauty of it is, you do have the opportunity. If something comes up, you can take time to go do something. And I just think it's, it's a different mindset, and it's a different way of approaching the way you get things done, because you still have the priorities, you still have the deadlines, you still have everything that goes along with that. And it's just a matter of pacing yourself. I really think it's important for, like you say, take time out for yourself and self-care. So hey, I want to shift gears before we jump off here, Kelly, because I think that as a recruiter, you would probably get very good at searching for certain subjects and things. And LinkedIn is probably a tool that you use on a regular basis, I would imagine.
It is, yeah.
So are there any secret knowledge or nuggets of knowledge that we would be able to acquire that you might want to share with somebody?
Yeah, that's great. So here's my secret. I pay for LinkedIn Recruiter. I love LinkedIn Recruiter because you can build searches and then save them into different projects, which are really nice. So you're not kind of revisiting the same people. But LinkedIn, to search in LinkedIn, even the free version, it's similar to Google, right? So if I'm building a search, I may be looking at either an industry or certain companies, certain locations, or certain skill sets, and you can build that all out in the free search. But something that's really cool is if I were to be searching and I come up with Russ Johns, if you look on the right side of LinkedIn, you'll see it'll say, here's people similar to Russ Johns. So I don't know if you ever noticed that. That's a good way to get more intelligence, right? Because this company has this, or you can cross-reference on titles. And but my biggest secret is to pay for it.
Yeah. Well, I have Sales Navigator, and it works for me. Yeah. So but the point I'm making here is, folks, sometimes there are good tools that you pay for that optimize your work. It's like a carpenter has a sharp saw, and it's, a baker has bowls and, things like that. This analogy that if you're doing work and you're making progress and you're building a business, you need to make sure that you invest in your tools too. So
here's what I'll say. I have a lot of tools that I pay for. I use LinkedIn 98% of the time. It works better. I have these tools because as a recruiter, you have to have them, right? So I have to be able to search certain sites so that prospects are, comfortable and my partners are comfortable with what I'm doing. So I still pay for them, but LinkedIn is, it's 98% of what I do. And I've been a member since like 2004. But I really haven't used it until about a year ago when I really started growing my personal brand, trying to grow my personal brand. So it's an amazing tool. It really is. You could do you can meet people, like all the people that just came up.
You can become a pirate at any moment.
You never know. You never know when you're going to become a pirate. I've been watching the show. I got an invitation. I was so excited. I didn't know if I was worthy of being a pirate. So this is
you're so pirate worthy. So
thank you.
Even with your landscapers,
right.
you made it through the show.
It's gone now, thank goodness.
Well, it's a wonderful time to be here, and it's all about, like Con said, it's about relationships. It's about putting things in perspective and making sure. Damon mentioned it earlier. And it's just a matter of being able to pull these things together and say, okay, what do I want to do with what it is that I'm doing? Because I heard Mike Rowe on Dirty Jobs. He goes, a lot of people find these jobs and then they learn to love them. They find a way to learn to love their jobs versus what am I passionate? What am I going to go do? What do I love? Yeah. And it's a different perspective, and we all add value to the world, and we all bring things that can create value. So I appreciate and applaud your work and your efforts and things that are finding the right people for the right jobs. And it's amazing to be connected here. And if people need to connect with Kelly, she's a pirate now. So tell her Russ sent you. Captain Russ sent you. So
yeah. Yep. I am open to connections. I'd love to meet new people. I've met really great friends.
So what life wisdom would you like to drop in for the show today?
Life wisdom.
Yeah.
I would say no regrets. Things happen to teach you along the way and to challenge. And My other piece of advice would be to read Curtis Tompkins' daily morning posts on LinkedIn. They're so uplifting to get you going. And the last thing is, I would say things that I do every day are I visualize my day and I practice gratitude every morning from the day before. So it sets me up for the day to be happy and focus on what I'm going to do. And then the next morning I start all over saying, wow, I had a great day yesterday.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important.
A little bit of joy, a little bit of gratitude every day makes a big difference. So, Well, Kelly, thank you so much for being here, and I really appreciate it. And as everybody knows, as I close out the show, kindness is cool, smiles are free, and you enjoy the day.
Thanks, Russ.
Thanks, Kelly.
Great to be here. Thanks.
Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.